Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. Today's episode is a special bonus episode with two members of the festival programming team of the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival, The Big Scream, which is a free-day horror-themed film festival at the former Bristol IMAX with a selection of cult and classic horror movies being shown. The festival will be held from Friday the 28th of October to Sunday the 30th of October. The program will feature a 35th anniversary screening of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead 2, John Carpenter's original 1978 masterpiece Halloween, cult favorite Fright Night, as well as a Universal horror classic, A Shaw Brothers Insanity, and much more. So joining me today are Tessa Williams, who has a degree in film studies from Aberystwyth University, master's in screenwriting. She's an avid film reviewer and writer. She is convinced that she has seen 90% of films in existence. That's a lot. And is always on the hunt for new ones. And Anthony Nield was a Blu-ray producer at Arrow Films, working on tons of Arrow Video and Arrow Academy titles. And for the past 4 years, he's been head of production at Powerhouse Films. But he's all about the physical media when not helping put films on a massive screen. Thank you both for joining us, and welcome Tessa and Tony.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely no problem at all. I trust you are both very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And excited because it is currently October. We are a few days into October. Yeah. Is it the best? Is it the best month of the year?
Definitely. Yeah. Autumn is the best season. And then you have Halloween on the horizon. Yes. And, people who love Christmas have that in the near future as well. So it's great.
See, I prefer October and Halloween because there's too much pressure with Christmas.
Exactly.
There's too much going on. You've got to see all your family or your friends. You got to buy things for people. We don't have to, but
Halloween is my Christmas. So I'm very, very excited about our Halloween film festival.
Yes, of course. What a way to end October. Do both of you tend to spend like all of October watching strictly horror films as well?
I think that's you, Anthony.
Yeah, it's a bit different for me because I work in Blu-rays, and generally we're working on stuff 3, 4, 5 months ahead of the release date. So at the start of summer, that's when I watch all the horror films because we normally release those around about Halloween. So I'm always a little bit behind, or ahead rather. Yes, ahead.
Yeah, ahead of the curve, of course.
But I think, so far this month, we're like, 4th of October, and I've been watching a horror film a day, pretty much.
Oh, have you?
Because,
Which ones have you watched?
So I finally got around to watching Slender Man. That was an experience. I watched a film called Maniacs, in which Jeff Fahey plays a serial killer. And the Queen pops up at the end, which was very, very, very strange.
The actual Queen?
The actual Queen, yeah. Have I got the disc to hand? I haven't got it to hand, otherwise I would show you the cover. It's a very strange one, that one. And then yesterday I watched a recent Welsh remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Interesting. Okay. Intriguing.
A Welsh remake of Night of the Living Dead, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay. You can't just leave it at that.
Normally in October, I have a day, like I make a spreadsheet of what horror films I'm going to watch. But I've just been too busy this month.
Incredibly organized, getting the old spreadsheet out.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets are impressive.
But I've been too busy arranging the film festival.
That's the perfect excuse, isn't it? I've been too busy arranging a massive film festival than putting this spreadsheet together. So how exciting the Big Scream is and looks. Sorry, I've got myself some tickets. Tickets are still available as well, aren't they? For just individual screenings or?
Yes. We've got weekend passes, day passes, and individual screenings still available.
Okay. I will put the link to tickets in the show notes as well. So if anybody's listening and thinks this sounds right up your alley, I mean, it should do. If you're listening to a horror movie podcast, pretty sure it depends how close to Bristol you are, of course, but pretty sure this is definitely going to be on the cards and what a way to celebrate Halloween. I always feel like I want to do something special. And I've never done anything quite like this, sort of Obviously I've moved horror movie nights around about Halloween in the comfort of my own home, but on an IMAX screen, surrounded by similar sort of horror fans as well.
It's going to be amazing, and we've got a few surprises in store as well. So
good surprises.
Definitely worth coming.
Yeah,
I think it's also worth pointing out what you said about watching them with a group of like-minded people, because I think horror films especially have that thing where the communal experience really works. Everybody's jumping at the same times, laughing at the same times, are relieved at the same times, and to have that, especially on that kind of screen where the film is so big, is just is a wonderful thing. Definitely.
Yeah, we definitely found that at our first festival back in May, because we showed things like Basket Case and Poltergeist, and Girls Night Out and Tenebrae, and like you said, Anthony, the audience reactions together were really, it's just something very special about that.
So going all the way back to May, the inaugural festival, how was Forbidden Worlds Festival originally conceived? And how and on top of that, how did the big scream go? How was that? How did that come about? I guess my first question would be.
Do you have anyone, or should we just answer together?
Answer together. Bounce. Just steamroll in there. Whoever. Okay.
Well, I'll start, and then you can take over, Anthony.
Okay.
So, as far as I know, that Forbidden Worlds Film Festival came together. Mostly, I mean, I think it was all down to Ty, really. It was his idea. And then he was talking to Dave of 20th Century Flicks about starting a genre festival in Bristol, because Bristol is such a cultural city and it needed something like that. And then they really started to get that idea together, and then brought Anthony and myself and Tom Vincent in. And Anthony, carry on.
Yeah, so part of it as well was this year is the 40th birthday of 20th Century Flicks.
Yes, I saw that. That's insane, isn't it?
So yeah, it's been going continuously since 1982. Even through COVID, they still had like a courier service and all the rest.
Yeah,
so one of the things then was because it was 40 years that they then hit upon this concept that, well, let's show a bunch of films from 1982, because this was also kind of like a high mark in genre cinema as well. So you got films, I think Tessa already said a bunch of them: Basket Case, Poltergeist, Tenebrae, The Dark Crystal, whatever else it was that we shown tons of them.
The Challenge.
The Challenge. Yeah. Thrilling.
What a year 1982 was. Wow.
It was. Exactly. The Secret of Nim.
Secret of Nim.
Oh yeah, of course.
So we had this whole diverse kind of thing. We had almost 1,200 people show up over the 3 days.
Amazing.
And then because we kind of proved that Bristol wants this kind of thing, then we've come back to do another one 6 months later, 4 months later, 7 months later, whatever it is, I can't remember.
And also because, sorry, Karen.
Sorry, no, go on, Tessa.
I was just going to say, because generally for someone like me who loves horror films, I've always sort of tended to go to London for Halloween weekend and go to the all-nighter at the Prince Charles Cinema or something, because I want to celebrate Halloween watching horror films on the big screen. And Bristol, I think needed something like that. And so it made perfect sense to have a Halloween film festival as well.
Was that always on the cards, or was it was it based on how audiences reacted to, say, or how you felt after watching Basket Case and Poltergeist on the big screen? Did that kind of get the sort of cogs ticking over, thinking about making a Halloween themed event as well?
I think it was a bit of both. I mean, because we already had strong pre-sales and everything back in May, that we knew the festival would be a success. But then I think actually being there with the audience and understanding who the audience were and what they wanted. And on the last day, everybody, as they were leaving for like their last film, whether they stayed to watch the very, very end one or the one before, were like, can you please do this again? Can you please do this again? So
we thought we wouldn't make them wait a whole year. We'd do like a special event until before next May, because then obviously next May we'd like to have our second proper Forbidden Worlds Film Festival.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to make it a regular thing. Well, like a May and then a Halloween sort of schedule.
Yeah, hopefully. That would be cool.
Yeah.
That sounds
and part of it as well was also just proving that the IMAX screen would work, just in terms of a crowd puller. So in between the festival back in May and the one we got coming up in October, most weekends now have some kind of event there, which 20th Century Flick's been putting on, Film Noir have been putting on. There's a new science fiction outfit. They're about to do both of the Judge Dredd films. The Aquarium themselves have been showing films. So yeah. There's a lot going on back there again now, which is really good. Plus, we showed the Michael Flatley film as well, which was
which I still haven't seen. Oh my gosh!
So obviously,
and we showed RRR as well, which was just phenomenal.
Did see that?
Phenomenal on that screen.
I haven't. Sorry, I haven't actually seen that, but I imagine seeing that on that big screen. I've seen clips, and it looks
that was epic.
People on their feet throughout the film, applauding and all the rest. It was.
Talking about audience interactions.
Yeah. It was amazing.
So Tessa, you did already mention Ty, and he has actually appeared on Horror Hangout podcast before. When we attended the Bristol Bad Film Club screening of Sleepaway Camp, and then he gave gave us some trivia that was included as well. So yeah, if anybody wants to go back and listen to that for more sort of genre Bristol Bad Film Club themed action, go and do that. My next question is, what inspired the choices for the films that are being shown across the 3 days at the end of October?
So Anthony, do you want to start with Friday, then I'll do Saturday?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think the main thing that we found was that the mix that we did back in May really worked, because we just had a little bit of everything. There was some kids films, there was martial arts films, there was, weird Asian cinema, there was pure horror, there was kind of more, culty kind of horror, and so on. There weren't any two films which felt the same, really. So I think we felt that we had to get that balance again, but also that balance between kind of your obvious kind of blockbuster within the genre. So Evil Dead 2 is obviously, a big horror crowd pleaser. So that's in the program. Halloween is a big horror crowd pleaser. The original Halloween, that is. So that's in the program. But then, whilst those will be the most popular films, those are the ones which get the prime kind of slots. What we can also do within that is do a few films which are, say, more obscure, that people might take a risk going to see, like we had last time with The Challenge or Thrilling Bloody Sword. This year we've got it with The Boxer's Omen, for example, the Shaw Brothers film. But also, because we're not tethered by the year anymore, we can go way back. So we've got horror films from the 30s, from the 50s, The Tingler, which is an amazing film, Night of the Eagle, those are both on the first day. So we've got some horror comedies. It's just trying to find that balance where there's something for everybody. And if you were to buy the weekend pass, like a lot of people did, there was a real hardcore, last time around of everybody, people who would watch everything. That they're not going to find anything repetitious. They're not going to get bored. The next one is going to be different from the last one, and hopefully it's going to be just as good.
A delicious horror buffet, it sounds like.
For Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are quite different. I feel like on Friday we have some more classics, I guess, especially as we've got Evil Dead 2, and that's a great way to begin. And The Tingler as well, which will be really fun. And then Saturday was kind of more focusing on Women in Horror Day. So we spent some time thinking about that, and I met a lot of women who write horror and direct horror in Bristol, who I'd never met before. Wow. So some of those women are getting involved and showing their short films before some of the films on Saturday. So Saturday is going to be a great day of like introductions and short films and classic films, because of course we've got The Bride of Frankenstein, then we've got The Craft, then Halloween, then Elvira, and then the Slumber Party Massacre. So it's going to be a real epic woman girl power day.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. Didn't the Slumber Party Massacre celebrate an anniversary as well recently? Like a big one?
Is that 1982?
It is,
1982? Yeah,
Okay,
so
40 years
it's
as well.
it's surprising we didn't actually show that in May, but luckily we didn't. So
I think it's because we had Girls' Night Out back in May.
it's pretty similar
Yeah.
in many ways.
And then also on the Sunday this year, every film is an 18 as well. So that's like a bit of like a hardcore kind of end to the festival.
And Sundays are definitely out there, indie, probably films you will never have seen in the cinema day, I think. Especially like The Boxer's Omen.
Yeah, I've never seen The Boxer's Omen. My co-host Luke has seen it and he told me all about it, and it sounds
I can't
like
wait to see that on the IMAX because it is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, my next question is, which of those films are you probably most excited to experience with an audience of horror fans? Is it the films perhaps that you're expecting not so many people to have seen?
I mean, for me, it'll be Halloween, because Halloween's my favorite horror film of all time, and I've never seen Halloween on a screen that big, so I'm really excited to see that with the crowd.
Yeah.
For me, I think like Bride of Frankenstein is probably my favorite horror film of all time as well. So I've got that there. But also, I think one of the things that we had last time is even if you know the film very well, or because obviously we watch every film together before we program it. That's part of the way that it works, that we all get together, watch the films as a group, and then if it kind of makes the long list, then we make sure that rights are available, that kind of thing, that we can actually afford to show it, and that's kind of how we whittle it down. So between us all, we've generally watched all of the films beforehand, but then watching them again with a new audience is like seeing them with fresh eyes. It really is. Especially something like Thrilling Bloody Sword last time around, because that is such an out there kind of film, and to just hear behind you the gasps of astonishment as it's kind of going on, that's an amazing thing. It really is.
It's also the same with Basket Case, because it's such some people don't know about it, and when they're watching it for the first time, it's quite an event.
It's definitely an event. I mean, I saw it for the first time probably only like a couple of years ago. Alice Taylor Matthews joined us for that one. And moving swiftly on from Alice Taylor Matthews, I understand there are also going to be special introductions and guest speakers. Can you tell us much about those, or are most of them surprises?
Some of them are surprises, but we can tell you about some of them. Do you want to do Friday again, Anthony?
I'll have to get it up in front of me because I still can't remember.
I'll give you some on
There
Saturday.
are just so many that I can't even list them without.
On Saturday, I mean, we do have some surprises which are very hush hush, and no one is allowed to mention any of them until the day. But we have Halloween's being introduced by Melanie Light, who's a writer and director of horror. And The Craft is being introduced by Gabby, who is also a writer and director of horror, and the same with the Slumber Party Massacre. So we've got a few very special people coming. So
and Alice's intro in Evil Dead 2 as well.
Amazing. That will
and are you introducing the Tingler, Anthony?
Oh yeah. So also between us all, we'll have some intros as well. So I'll be introducing the Tingler, because that's one of my favorites.
There'll be lots of exciting intros.
Are you introducing anything, Tessa?
I'll be introducing the Slumber Party Massacre with Sophie and Dan, who made the short film The Thing That Ate the Birds. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's very good. But if you come on the day, hopefully you can see it then.
Okay, that'll be shown as well. Wonderful. Amazing. Okay. I mean, as it's Halloween season, are you encouraging attendees to dress up, or is it just, I mean, it's to be expected, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, no pressure. But we will be giving prizes to the best dressed.
No pressure, but there are prizes.
But actually, probably not the best dressed, but the most interestingly dressed.
Oh, okay. I see.
But dressing up is not compulsory.
No, I mean, that would be
we
unfair,
may get involved ourselves, though.
Okay. Interesting. You've got something planned? Again, surprises. These are all things that you can see when you attend a festival. We can't give away the goods right now. That's just unfair.
Although it might be a bit terrifying if we all stand at the door welcoming people dressed up as Michael Myers.
Yeah,
but we might do it.
I feel like I'd quite like that. Initially, I think I'd quite like it, but then if you turn around and Michael Myers is sat behind you watching Halloween,
yeah,
I mean that would be an
quite
experience.
scary.
If either of you could land the rights to screen any one particular film, this is actually a question from my co-host Andy. If you could land the rights to screen any particular film, which one would you choose? What a question that is. That's a big question.
That is a big question.
It's probably the biggest question. It's almost like saying, what's your favorite film? And then
yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we could probably land the rights to screen Aliens, but I'd love to screen Aliens in the giant screen. But
oh yes, can you imagine that? That would be amazing.
But Anthony probably knows more obscure films.
I mean, the thing is, though, I don't think it necessarily has to be obscure.
No.
So
there's something you love that's obscure.
Yeah. I'm just trying to. So, like, one of my favorite big screen experiences was seeing Suspiria at the Egyptian Theatre in LA on their gigantic screen.
Oh wow! Okay.
And that was absolutely phenomenal. So, like, to possibly, to be able to then share that with a Bristol audience would be.
And just hearing that,
amazing.
Hearing that Goblin soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. That would be
amazing.
Amazing.
And then Tenebrae, back in May was one of our most popular screenings. So
That
more
was
Argento, definitely.
I fell in love with that film in May.
Oh wow.
It was
more
amazing.
Argento, 100%. Definitely.
Yes. We are lacking in Argento this time, but we will bring Argento back in May.
Amazing. I'll tell you what would be a good shout. Dracula 3D.
Anything 3D.
Look at controversial.
Tony's face. I'm just thinking of like a movie that you could watch, and just the reactions from the audience would just be like,
maybe like Piranha 3D.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a film in 3D, but like anything 3D. Yeah, Friday the 13th part. Which one was it? 6 or 7?
3.
That was part 3.
Oh, 3. Oh, part 3.
Because we were actually thinking about showing Friday the 13th part 3 at our first festival in 3D, but we may have had a 3D issue.
3D. Oh, 3D issue.
But we will get it working.
Those damn IMAX screens, eh? Well, it was out of commission for a while, wasn't it?
Yes.
Like a number of years, so you bring
life
into it. What is next on the slate for Forbidden Worlds Festival for 2023 and beyond? Obviously, if there are going to be surprises, don't worry about telling us. But maybe we've already kind of covered that there will be an event next year, and hopefully an event. Have you got things in mind? Have you already been planning ahead?
Kind of loosely, yeah. But I think once we once October's done, and we've had a little bit of time to rest afterwards, because it does get quite tiring over 3 days running a festival. But once we're a bit more rested back in November, then we'll be straight back, getting back together, watching a ton of films together, whittling it down, and then we'll have a bunch more for you back in May.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's the fun thing, isn't it? Starting to get the list of films together and to watch as a team. So we'll be doing that probably in January.
So you all get together to watch the films as a team then?
Mostly.
Yeah, so 20th Century Flicks has got the 2 little cinemas. So we tend to use one of those.
Amazing. That is amazing. Okay, so obviously that is incredibly exciting. So where can our listeners find more from the Forbidden Worlds Festival, or keep up to date with those future events that we've already mentioned, I guess, like website and social links?
Yeah, if you sign up to on our website, you sign up and then you'll get all the information sent to your email. And you can buy tickets on our website, obviously, and we're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. But
sweet. I will put all of those social media links in the show notes as well. So if you're listening and you'd like to go straight to the website to buy a weekend pass, then of course do that. I'm very excited to be attending, and I guess you guys are incredibly excited to be involved.
Very excited.
Very excited.
It's like 3 weeks and a few days. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. So
Wow.
3 weeks
The countdown
on
is
Friday.
on.
Yeah.
Not long to go.
It's funny. I met someone today though who people still don't know that we have a giant IMAX screen in Bristol. Like
wow.
there are not enough people that know it's there, so we just need to tell everyone.
Or if people know it's there, I bet they think this is out of commission. So we need to just go, it's back. We need to beam like a beam of light up into the sky with the Forbidden Worlds Festival logo on it, like the bat
That's
signal.
what we need. Yeah.
And just get everybody to descend upon the IMAX on Halloween weekend. Amazing. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review and head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board Advisors for more. Thank you very much for joining me, Tessa and Tony.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks a lot. See you next time.